we're here in Trek with the new bike. Just look at that.
Drive clean it, see? That's attached to the floor. Ta-da!
There, they got everything covered up. Oh, there it is. Where are the shifters here? There's the dirt. There's the. New battery. Can't. It's too weak.
Don't want to pull it too far apart, but there you go.
And brakes. That's crazy.
Yeah.
This is the first 12-speed in Canada.
As far as the guys at Shimano are concerned, yeah, this is the first one they know of that actually made its way to a shop.
At least as far for like a customer.
For customers,
purchase.
yeah.
Customer wise, gotcha.
Yeah.
Big question, and I'm sure this is going to be in the comments. How was I so lucky to get this?
So a couple of things happened. One, you know some bike shop guys, and we all kind of knew it was coming.
Yeah.
But Trek as a brand sounds like they managed to get in ahead of most other brands as far as getting access to the new component system.
Yeah.
So through the Project One program, they had group sets on order before anybody else did. So they had access to them before anybody else did.
Trek did.
Yeah. So that's how you ended up where you are.
Do you think, now this is, I haven't asked you this before, but this is like what I was thinking. Do you think Shimano gave Trek first dibs because they want to switch them back from SRAM?
Yeah, I mean, if we looked at the Project One bikes over the last year and a half, or even stock bikes, a lot of them were SRAM heavy, but I have a feeling a lot of them were SRAM heavy just simply because Shimano was earlier to have shipping issues and availability issues compared to SRAM. And with the new stuff coming out, everybody kind of knew the new stuff was coming out, so companies were starting to sort of maybe look at SRAM to fill that gap, so they weren't speccing bikes with dated product, maybe. I'm not sure.
Trek was first to get first dibs on new Dura Ace. Mm-hmm. And then the dealers like yourself get an email, and then as soon as you got that email, you called me.
Yeah.
And then I hesitated a couple hours maybe, and then I was like, okay, let's get it.
Yeah. And
Gotcha.
there was so you were our first. We had an order go in for same setup a day or two later, and that bike will be here in a few weeks.
Gotcha.
So, but you were
another customer bike.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, so they were in sort of 24 or 48 hours after you. Still able to get a bike for this fall, but it was delayed by a few weeks compared to what yours was.
Gotcha. All right, sick. I'm gonna get this thing home and build it up, and then I'm gonna bring it back and show it to everyone.
Yeah, that's what we really need to see.
Yeah. All right, awesome. Thanks, man. Few things I noticed interesting. Not tubeless tires. 28s, but they're not tubeless. Little disappointing. I'm gonna take this crank off and put the cork on. Cut the steer tube, shorten the wires. I'm gonna show you what it looks like all built. I want to see also if the thumb shifter works with it, all that kind of stuff. I'm also gonna show you what it came with real quick. So it comes in this big box, charging cable, inspection sheet, saddle. Let me know in the comments why the bike ships with one of these. Extra seat clamps. Look, it has a new tool, much smaller than the regular tool. See the size difference there? Little booklet, how to have more fun on my bike. I'm gonna make sure to read that. Bar tape, seat post, reflectors, service information. I think a big question has been, I've seen online, will the 12-speed crank work with the 11-speed? Let's take a look at the teeth on the crank side by side to see what they look like. I'm gonna put it on. I think it works. We're gonna test it in a minute, but let's just take a look at the teeth side by side. I got them both here. Left side is 12 speed, right side is 11 speed. Pretty close. I think it's gonna work. Something that I forgot, really important, this bike, I had the identical bike with the old Dura Ace 9170, and it weighed exactly 16 pounds. So I'm gonna have it set up almost identical, and we're gonna see how much it weighs with the new Dura Ace. Let's see if there's a difference. I've got the bike almost fully built. I just need to put some bar tape on it. You can see here how much smaller the wire actually is. Hopefully you can see that, but that's the difference. The one on the right is the regular wire. The one on the left is the new wire. Bottom port, you can see there's 2 ports there. The bottom port is just a switch. So you can hook up, and that's what I did. I had these old DI2 shifters. These are like ancient, these remote shifters. These are from the previous Dura Ace 9070, and they're just a switch. So I just spliced the wires in. I bought the EW300 wire and then spliced this in, and they work. I just have some double-sided tape on there. I'll put the bar tape on. Other big difference that I noticed is the space. It's hard to see, but there's a much bigger space where the disc goes. The next thing that I've noticed is the shifting speed, but I'm sure I'll feel that when I get out on the road. The other biggest difference that I've noticed is that it's wireless. So there's no bar end junction box, and like building this bike, because the bike comes pretty much assembled, but you got to cut the top tube, you got to cut the steer tube, you got to put the handlebars on, and then reattach the brake cables and bleed the brakes. But because there's no wire running up to the handlebars and plugging in the shifters, to not have to worry about those wires, the bar end box, running the wires through the handlebars, it makes it way easier. Let me show you something else that I thought was really cool. Okay, so if we bring up E-Tube, you don't need the EW module for this. It's built into the derailleur. So you get automatic connection to E-Tube. But what's really cool is the front derailleur. The front derailleur doesn't have any trim screws. Okay. So you can go into the front derailleur, and it brings you into this prompt where you start, and it tells you to spin the pedals in 5 seconds. So we'll spin them, and it kicks you up into big ring. You hit start, and then it asks you to adjust your front derailleur. So I press these buttons, you can see it adjusts, and then you go, so you make sure you're in the bottom ring, that you're in the 11, and then you're in the 53, and then you put the front derailleur where you like it, and you hit next. And then you go to the same thing, start, in 5 seconds you start pedaling, and then it puts you at the top of the cassette. And then you adjust the front derailleur. I've already done this. You adjust the front derailleur where you like in this position. You hit next. Then you go down into the bottom of the cassette again to 1, pedal, and then it gets you to adjust the derailleur in this position. What I really like about this is it adjusts the front derailleur in every position. So you're never gonna run into a problem where your front derailleur isn't in the position that it's supposed to be. Because you set it on every high and low instance in big ring and little ring, your front derailleur is always going to be trimmed properly, and I love that, especially when you compare it to SRAM. This thing makes SRAM's front derailleur look archaic. I'm sorry, SRAM guys. I got SRAM on my wife's bike, but it's almost like the front derailleur remembers where it's supposed to be on each setting, and I think that's absolutely awesome. Completely impressed with that. I had this identical bike with 9170, and it weighed exactly 16 pounds. We're gonna weigh it now. And it was identical setup, same bottle cages, same pedals, same Garmin mount. That's all I had on it. I think it's identical. Ooh, quarter-pound lighter. Bottle cages, Garmin mount, pedals. So there you go. Kilos, not bad. You can really see the size difference. I tried to line the handlebars up so you could see. But they're longer, taller. Really interesting how they changed the size of it. First thing that I notice on this bike is the shifting. It slips in and out of the gears so much faster. It's really hard to explain the feeling compared to the previous Dura Ace. It just moves faster. It feels like it has a less distance to go. First thing I noticed immediately. Second thing that I noticed is how much bigger the hoods are. And let me show you where I can feel it the most. They're much longer from here to here. So you can almost wrap 3 fingers around it. And when I really notice that is when I'm out of the saddle and I want to grab my whole hand around it like this. And because it sticks up a little more and sticks in, it's just a lot more comfortable. You see how you can just wrap your whole hand around it. Huge difference. The braking is a bit, like they say, more modular. It doesn't grab immediately. You can ease into the pressure if you like. That's great. Not the biggest difference, but the shifting's incredible. Also, kicking it in and out of big ring is absolutely crazy. That's where I noticed it the most. Going into the easier gears on the back, they just slip right in there. Same thing with going into harder gears. You notice it immediately. But the front chainring, boy oh boy, it's absolutely amazing. Just kicks you into big ring, no lag, boom, you're right in there. What's also really interesting is you saw I am running the 9100 chain rings with the cork, and I don't notice a difference. If it's better with the 9200 chain rings, I don't know how it could be better, because it's fantastic getting in and out of big ring. One thing I don't like is I often would adjust my rear derailleur. Not often, but I'd say once every 2 months while I was riding. And what I mean is, I'd press the button on the junction box, do the micro adjustments, but you can't do that now because the button is on the derailleur, as I showed you earlier. The button is right here. And case in point, right now it's in semi multi-sync. So if you drop it into big ring, if you drop it into little ring, it kicks you up 2 gears. If you put it into big ring, it kicks you down 2 gears. I don't like that. And to change that on the fly, because I'm running the hammerhead, you can't do it. Maybe you can. Let's check. Let's see if the hammerhead could do it. Sensors. DI2. Oh, look, you can. There you go. Nice. Manual, there you go. Hammerhead. So that's cool, the hammerhead could do that. That's the only downfall that I see from it right now. Otherwise, I'm loving it. One very important thing that I left out building the bike is the parts are very similar. What I mean by that is the way you bleed the brakes, the design of the shifter. Let me show you. So all these internals, it's a little bit different design, but like you use the same nuts, you use the same olive, all of that stuff. It's a 12-speed chain, which they already have. A lot of this stuff is very similar. It's not a completely radical design, which is great because it's not this big learning curve when installing it. I've only been riding for 8 minutes, so I'm gonna have to give it some more testing, but those are my first initial feelings of the group set. I'm gonna do an in-depth review on this group set, comparing them to the old one after I've ridden it for a couple weeks to make sure, you know, I get the feel and I know everything about it. Once you feel this shifting, the guys out there that are saying you only get, it's not worth it, you only get an extra cog, sorry, but I think you're wrong. This thing shifts way better, and I'm gonna be testing it under load and all that stuff, so watch out for that video. But yeah, I just want to get it out there. Please like, please subscribe. Love you guys. I'll see you on the next video. I'll see you soon. Bye.